So the next kit we're going to put up is the white Narcissi kit. This comes in a beautiful kind of quite oversized 16cm pot. It's a pot that I think looks great sort of on its own, on an island. It's big enough, it's kind of quite visually impactful. So I really hope you'll like this kit. Yeah, it's a really good sized pot. And I don't know whether this is annoying or a good thing, but annoyingly, the bulbs, none of the bulbs have come out yet. So I can't show you how gorgeous these white little Narcissi are. You just have to trust me. There is an image on the website though from last year's kits where they just bloomed gorgeously. So that is what they look like. But yeah, at the moment, I guess we're sort of still in January, aren't we? Although these are the February kits, they're just not out yet. So yeah, you just have to imagine how beautiful. Okay, so let's get potted up. So in your kits, you will have your bulbs, your pot, your gravel, compost, moss, you'll have your birch twigs and your dry thyme. So I will just quickly apologise for the fact that our dried thyme is coming in tomorrow. So I don't have a lot to show you, but hopefully you get the idea of how to just sort of pop it in when you're potting up. So I apologise about that. I also apologise about all the black flies that are flying around. We have them in our roof. They've just come in, and I don't know if it's because it's warmer, but yeah, they're in the roof space in the studio. So we're in the process of sort of getting rid of them basically, but they're still flying around and they're just irritating. So I apologise about that. And then I also apologise about any building noise you might hear from the studio next door. Right, should we begin? Okay, so adding in the gravel to the base of the pot, it's just to add drainage so that your bulbs don't sort of sit, the roots of your bulbs don't sort of sit in water for prolonged periods of time. Okay, and then we're going to add in our compost into your pot. So your compost will be really free draining, peat free. There'll be lots of horticultural grit in there so that the bulbs are sort of not sat in, you know, soggy compost for too long, so they don't get bulb rot. So adding in basically all that's in your brown paper bag. Next month I will have a trowel. I just can't find it. It's somewhere. Okay, a couple more. Okay, but then saying that, it is so good for you getting your hands in soil. So good for the microbiome and all that kind of stuff. You're sort of really helping with your sort of immune system by having your hands in compost and soil. Anyway, now take your bulbs and then just take them out of their pot. Look at those beautiful roots. And then what we're going to do is we're going to sort of separate them. Actually, I'll do it over here. Because we want the 3 bulbs individually so that we can pop them into our pot sort of in a more sort of spread out way, so they're not sort of sat on top of each other. Now I like to kind of twist my bulbs on the palm of my hand so that the roots almost kind of sort of tuck underneath, and then I just place that down into the soil. I'm not concerned about the roots all being, you know, underneath the compost. It honestly doesn't matter. The roots will find a way to the moisture and to the water source, so do not worry. You can literally just sit them on top and they'll be fine. I also love it when the roots kind of hang over the edge. Okay, so we've got our 3 little bulbs all placed on top of the compost. I'm now going to add in the moss. So you have your flat moss, which is this sort of woodlandy textured one. You'll have twigs in there. There'll be sort of pine needles in there. And it just looks so stunning next to the sort of brown papery skin of the Narcissi bulbs. So you're just adding your moss in where you see either compost or root. I like it when some of the roots do poke through, however, so you know, if that happens when you pot up, that's great. I now will lift my bulbs up so that I can sit them on top of the moss. It just means that then you get that lovely contrasting kind of texture of the papery bulb on top of the green moss. So I simply put 2 fingers either side, or a finger either side of the bulb, and then with my other hand I lift the bulb out and I just sit that on top of the moss. That way you've got your roots underneath the moss in contact with the compost, and then you've got your beautiful bulb on top. So lifting that and then sort of sitting it back on top. So lifting and then sitting it back on top. And you can angle them out if you want to. You know, they're so robust. You can move them around, jig them about, take some of the roots out if you want so that you can see them on the top. And now we're going to add in our birch twigs. So you'll have your birch twigs and dried thyme. You'll definitely have more dried thyme than I've got here. And you can just cut your birch twigs down if you want to into sort of smaller sections. It's entirely up to you. Obviously being mindful of the fact that your narcissi will grow probably to about here. So if you want to leave some of your twigs longer, so that when your bulbs catch up, they sort of meet, then that's great. It's completely up to you. I like to have sort of varying heights of the twigs in my kits, but whatever takes your fancy, however you want to pot it up is absolutely fine. In terms of looking after your narcissi, they just need to be kept somewhere sort of light, so they're getting some sunlight. It doesn't matter if the room is warm. All it means is your bulbs will shoot up quicker at a quicker rate. So if you want to keep it as cool as possible, it will mean that your kit will last longer. But you know, if your room is really, really warm, it really doesn't matter. Just enjoy it. Just have them somewhere that you can see them and enjoy them and watch them grow, because that's what it's all about really, especially for spring. And especially when we're, you know, coming out of January into February and we're all, you know, a bit fed up of the dark mornings, dark evenings, and we just need something to look at that's going to remind us that, you know, the longer days are coming, and you know, spring will be here imminently. Okay, I'm just going to add in the dried thyme. So I'm just popping that shorter, so you can, it's brittle, so you can just snap bits off because it's dried, and I'm just going to add that around the base of my bulbs. Just adds a nice sort of tone of green that contrasts with the moss and the shoots of the bulbs. Once your narcissi have gone over, so once the flowers have faded, you can cut the flower stem off and then leave the leaves on the bulb. Allow those leaves to go yellow. That means that all those nutrients in those leaves are going back into the bulb, ready for next spring. You can then cut the yellow leaves off and pop them straight into the ground in the garden, about 4 or 5 inches deep, pointing upwards. Or you can do it a different way, whereby you cut the yellow leaves off, you pop those bulbs in a brown paper bag. You'll get 3 with your kit, so hopefully you can use one of those. Put them in a cool, dry place, and then plant them in October or in the autumn, and they'll come up next spring. So that's about it. So really easy to look after. Water every sort of 3 days, so keep the soil nice and damp, but not waterlogged. So every 3 days is great. Place it any way you want, where you will be able to see it and enjoy it. Go away. And then replant those bulbs so that you can enjoy them time and time again, spring after spring. And then fill your gorgeous 16cm pot with something else that's beautiful. It's a really lovely size, and I hope you enjoy it. So that is the white narcissi kit.